Hello, my name is Nicky Tomlin, and my project I did for theater history course was to recreate a vase in the ancient Greek style. We'll start with how vases were formed. So, vases started with clay and water that was put into a pool. Any imperfections in the clay would sink to the bottom, and they would take the clay and just knead it and mold it into what they wanted. Khan Academy had a good online resource with a video of how it was done specifically, but it would take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours in a kiln that ranges from 1500 to 1700 degrees Fahrenheit, and in Celsius that would be 816 to 927 degrees Celsius. Much like ceramics now, it was done on a pottery wheel, and now that we have the mechanical ones, we don't really need anybody to do it for us, but they'd have either themselves or somebody else moving the wheel while they worked on the piece. With slip and other forms of clay, they used a chemical process to paint the model with a black figure clay. Black figure clay basically means it was the slip when it heated and then cooled and then reheated would go from a red to a black. Anything that didn't have the slip on it would go back to red. And there was another paint that was white that was put on before it was fired. So that's an interesting part about it, is it was an intensive process and very precise, especially since time and temperature wasn't able to be determined specifically. So anybody that was making these clay pots or anything ceramic based had to have extensive knowledge and a gut feeling, I guess, on how everything went. So now to get into the history of the clay vases, some of them depicted theaters and others depicted battles, whether fought and lost. And an interesting thing about it is a lot of these vases, according to Corey Binns of Live Science, depicted a lot of nudity on the vases. While it's not seen as much in theater, it is still something important to go over. The vases that showed nakedness, the reason why it did was because as much of a cultural assurance as nakedness was a symbolical way of showing anything, it could show weakness if you fall in battle and you were depicted naked. Strength and determination if you were working hard, and just in the working class, it would show that you're physically capable of doing manual labor. And then heroes and warriors winning triumphantly in battle would have their bodies depicted naked. It's noted that oftentimes, very seldomly would you see any war front where there was somebody naked in Greek history. But one thing that should definitely be noted through this textbook, History of Theater 10th edition, by Oscar G. Brockett and Franklin J. Hildy, and through another online article I found by Philip Bowen and Matthew Corthell, is determining the history of theater with the vases is extremely difficult, seeing as the time written, there's gaps between when it's stated that it's been made and when it was actually written down, and that leaves a lot of room for error. Another thing is that a lot of the ancient Greek vases were found in other countries such as southern Italy, Sicily, and other Mediterranean islands. And the fact that most of these vases depicted comedies over tragedies, which makes sense because comedy is more relatable when drawing versus tragedy. As an artist, that's something I've come to notice a lot, is it's a lot easier to do something in a humorous way versus a difficult way. But another note that could be for these ancient Greek vases is The popularity of ancient Greek plays, while it started to die down in Greece itself, would slowly move over to other countries and become popular there, so a lot of the goods and vases could be imported. So that's another important thing to notice. But now back to what I actually originally had to do was make a vase in a similar style. I could not make my own vase because, one, it's 90 degrees in Georgia and I'm not going to be around a kiln that's 1700 degrees. Two, I don't have the materials to do this. And three, it's just not my thing yet. I haven't taken ceramics and I haven't really learned it. I plan to, though. However, I did make I bought a vase from Walmart, and while I couldn't paint it like they did, I used a old video game I used to play, actually, to paint a vase to create something. The inspiration I used was Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it is my favorite play that I've been in, and it's just one of the easier things I could think of. So I used something called tagging, which is you take stencils and you spray paint something down. While a lot of people learn these things on like streets and such, I learned it playing Infamous 2. And the vase I painted, I originally had white, which you could probably see at the bottom. I spray painted it all a dark brown black, except for an area that is currently facing me, which I put tape over to cover the white, and I used a glitter paint to get the red that I was wanting. So the image I created would be the lips from Rocky Horror Picture Show. The way I got the image was I took the shirt I'm currently wearing, and I sketched out the lips and enlarged it to get the design. So this is how it turned out. You can see where I put tape on here to spray paint. The paint I used was a red glitter paint, and I think it came out very well, especially since I am not much of a spray painter, but I figured it'd be a fun little task. So yes, thank you for watching.